It's a great question because, firstly, in a sense, from my point of view, you're on your own all the time, and you're on your own all the time, and you're living in a world of projections, which are simply disowned parts of you. So it follows that you're always on your own, actually. And yet what you're saying is somewhat different. So in order to be on your own, if that means not being with other people who actually are projections of your own inner world, experienced as not yourself, is this a bit too complicated? Then what happens is you must really move the ghosts and the apparitions and the visions that appear as fear and violence and sadness and terror and all these kinds of negative states, shall we say. And I think that particularly if you're a young person, as you are, I think if you spent a bit of concentrated time just shifting terrors and fears, and so you just look at them squarely and say, I'd be scared of this, or I'm anxious about that, or this incites me to some violent reaction, or something like this, then these are the ghosts and the demons that inhabit the inner world. The ghosts and demons that inhabit the inner world are projected usually onto other people and circumstances and nations and all sorts of outward conflict. But when you sit with yourself in a room, they're all still there. This is an insight of human psychology. We know this, and we know this, you don't even have to study psychology, just try it, do it. And what happens is the demons, the visions, the fears are all present with you, even though you're on your own, in that room at the present time. And if you sift through them and process them, so to say, singly, one by one, and you say, well, what's this to be afraid of, what's this to be afraid of, what's this to be afraid of? Especially when we live in the Western world at this time, in spite of the apparent onset of terrorism and all this kind of thing, mostly, if you think about it, we're sort of okay. Most of what we're afraid of doesn't really happen. It probably doesn't happen to our friends either. There are places in the world today where these things might happen, but by and large, they don't tend to happen to us or to our friends in the Western, opulent, wealthy, on the whole, world. So you sit down in a room, you process them for reality check, and you process the fears and reactions inside you, and you divest yourself of them, you release them, you breathe out, you let them go. You face one fear after another until you're empty. Now, emptiness may be a very difficult thing to sit with, actually. But when you're empty and when you're alone and you're by yourself, paradoxically, of course, you're not. Suddenly you're there with you, shall we say. And so you're no longer lonely in your aloneness, which are different conditions. And you can begin to cultivate peace. So the first thing to do is shifting out the negativity. The second is embracing the emptiness. And the third is cultivating peace. Or another word for peace would be truth or reality or love or a good feeling. A good feeling that I'm alive and I'm here and I'm sitting with myself. And that is the basis of all real, authentic relationship. So it's actually vital, because if you don't do it, and you do carry the demons, the fears around with you, guess what's going to be reflected back to you in any kind of relationship? So one can't emphasize it enough, really. Move into a condition of peace, into a condition of not restlessness and not division, which creates violence and reactions and fears and all this kind of thing. Face the fears separately, embrace emptiness, and then cultivate positive frames of mind, positive conditions in which you can be.